Thank you for taking this moment to breathe and to listen to what can change your life forever. My name is Ragni Sinikas, and I'm the founder of Starpreneur TV, How to Dominate the Talk Show, World Women Conference and Awards, the creator of Coral Desk, the coach of the Changemakers, and co-author of the Dominate the Decade book. My mission is to empower through education. So thank you for joining us. And today I have an honor to speak with Justin Piccari. He's a Los Angeles-based photographer and is specializing in products and portrait photography. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me to say hi to Justin. Justin, tell us a little more about your story. How did you end up doing the photography? Why is it your passion? Who are you and why are you doing what you're doing?
Absolutely. Well, I've been focused on art my entire life. I honestly couldn't imagine doing anything different. And it's one of those things that when you find a special moment in the process of creation that you kind of latch onto it and everybody's attracted to a different thing. And back in high school, I really found a connection with photography and the process. I've always had an affection for kind of watching and observing and being able to find moments that other people don't necessarily see. One of my favorite parts of photography is that you literally are capturing a microsecond that can't be duplicated. And that's a really, really special thing. So especially when working with people, that's the biggest attraction to me is that single microsecond. And then in addition to all that, all the nerdy technical stuff, that's a lot of fun to get into. The lighting, spending, an hour setting up lighting, even for a conference like this, because I like looking at all the little things that make it better and all that kind of stuff. So.
But has it been your passion since childhood? Like, when did you discover this as your passion?
I would say I hadn't discovered photography as my pure passion until I came to LA. And mostly just because of all the different people that were around. Photography really, I started getting into it in high school and seeing the process because we were in the dark room, we had the film stuff, and there's a very zen quality to being in that dark, quiet space with all these like crazy lights and chemicals and stuff like that. But art has always been the biggest part of my life. So it was just really dialing in the different things that I love, and graphic design and photography are the two things that I really come together on. So I'm always seeing things in that way. How does something lay out? What is the way that it can be communicated best to everyone around? And that's the fun part.
Are you originally from Los Angeles? Where are you from?
I'm originally from outside of Philadelphia, a more rural area. It's actually quite has a lot of historical significance in that area. We have Bucks County is famous for its covered bridges and its barns. So we have a lot of that very rural farm quality. So there was a lot to look at growing up, and I think that was a big thing. I mean, people actually seek out Bucks County for art qualities. So I was very lucky to grow up in that environment where creativity was encouraged, and it wasn't. Even my parents, they always recognized that creativity quality. So it was a perfect environment to nurture that, which is nice.
Yeah, the environment for sure is one thing which we need to keep in mind in order for us to grow. And exactly, if you're not in an environment that really fosters that, then you do need to change, But I wanted to talk with you because you are the person that I think really knows what it means to work from home. Because I think your back office has always been home. And what advice do you have for people that now have this new reality and are experiencing the working from home and they didn't have that experience before?
I think the biggest advice I could give to people who are now stuck working at home is kind of changing your mindset in terms of feeling stuck. It's not about being stuck. It's about maximizing what you're trying to do. So, when you're working at home, it's setting limits for yourself, whether that's these are my on hours and these are my off hours. So I'm starting at 9 and I'm ending at 5 and that's it. no answering, being able to shut off your phone, being able to shut off your email, and really just switching your mindset. It's a different kind of discipline. I actually struggle in the opposite way. Most people are like, I want to go to the office, and then I log out and I like come in. I'm like, I save the half-hour commute in each direction. That's my, so it's like, yeah, you can roll out of bed and be prepared to work. And then you have to set your mind to working and make sure that you're working during that time and not getting distracted, but then being able to shut that off just as much. I've heard people complaining that their bosses hit them up after hours and ask them to do more tasks. And my personal response to that is, they're your boss, treat them nicely, but, be honest and say, if we were in the office, I would be home. So unless it's an emergency that we absolutely need to take care of, I'm happy to take care of that for you tomorrow. And dealing with clients, I have that happen a lot where they'll hit me up. I've had people send me messages at midnight and they want something. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm unavailable until tomorrow. I'm happy to take care of that as soon as I can for you. And that's the biggest advice. Don't think about it like a prison sentence. This is a moment for you to really maximize your day, and you get extra time. It's just a discipline.
I agree. I agree with you, and I think that we need to set the boundaries and the limits, whatever your style of work is. So, everybody who you are looking at the live, can you share with us? Did you work from home before as well, or were you working out of the office? That would be interesting to know, and also the country that you are listening into. So that please share with us. What motivates you, and how do you stay creative, especially like now being forced to stay in? So how do you find your motivation?
Before all of this, the motivation, what I found interesting, honestly, was people. It's one of those things. I mean, even when I met you, I remember, seeing a certain thing that I was like, there's a moment that I can find in her. And that's what I always love about, especially portrait photography, is like, some people are saying, oh, you're always shooting with models. Yeah, they're easy to shoot with. That's what they do. But honestly, finding a moment in anybody is what is super interesting to me in terms of shooting people, because everybody has a story, and that's finding that and being able to extract that out of them in a visual way is what's interesting. It's not about being beautiful. It's about being beautiful in your way. And I think that that's what's a lot of fun to find in people. The product stuff is more finding an item or finding a thing and finding a certain meaning in that. So I struggle a lot communicating this with clients who don't understand visual marketing, where they have a story that they want to tell. My job is to take that story, interpret it, and then tell it the way that other people can understand it. So, it's like being given a book in a certain language and you have to translate it. And that's kind of the job. It is more of a challenge now, because when you don't have the person-to-person contact where you're actually in person, it's a lot harder to find the messages in micro expressions and body language and things like that are normally how I would tell the story, by watching how you move or watching how you put your hair back or something like that. They all tell your story. The nice part is, as an artist, part of my job is to continually learn all of new ways of finding that. So it's given me a chance to sit back more and kind of figure out, how do you tell a story when you don't have this certain thing? So, we talk about this new normal all of the time. And when you have a new normal, the trick is not to lay down and die. The trick is to figure out how to rise up past that new definition and figure out how to define something new and really start to break into a certain new way of doing thing, or innovate a certain way of doing thing. And I think that that's really what it's all about, having that spark of an idea. And I know that constantly, every single day, I'm looking at new ways to, like, oh, how can I do this? What do I have around the house that I don't have to leave for, so I can follow the rules and I can still be trying something new, something I hadn't done before. And I think that's really the trick to any kind of motivation, creative or otherwise, is what parameters do I have and how can I use that to achieve?
Do you think you are now more efficient, in a sense that you need to find more those creative ways to do things than you were before?
Yeah, I don't know about efficient. Efficient's hard because, especially in LA, I'm used to being able to get access to anything I want at any time. So I can have a weird idea and be able to just to go, get what I need to get the idea accomplished, and that's it. So efficiency wise, I don't know if it's efficient, but it's definitely more interesting because you have to figure out ways around the challenges. So I know I have a new product shoot that I'm working on. That's just a weird idea. It's not for anything. Where I'm making going to do one of those like epic superhero shots, like you see like the promos for the movies, where it's like the building edge and there's a superhero standing on with the cape going, but it's going to be a bar of soap. So I'm like, okay, how do I get around having to go buy expensive props? I can't get a big block of gloss acrylic like I would like to use to make this sharp edge. So I had to build something out of some materials I had laying around the house, and trying to texturize that the way that it makes sense to fit the concept, rather than just saying, oh, it's not going to work, let's not do it. It's like, oh, let's find a way for it to work. I have the time. Why not? So it's nice to push yourself more than the efficiency part. I would say it's nice to you're forced to look at things in a different way. And that's exciting. It's not a detriment. It's very exciting because you can fall, especially in the creative field, you can fall into patterns and ways of doing things that become efficient. And efficiency isn't the only answer. Sometimes it's stepping outside those boxes to be able to find an answer that you didn't have.
What do you think today, when so many business owners are at home and they're thinking how to fine tune their marketing or branding, and a lot of business owners have been asking in those talks which we have had that is it branding and marketing important, and is it the best time to actually put yourself out there and promote and all of that? So I think that is clear that yes, if you have the means, it's the best time, because also ads are very very cheap. But from your point of view, what would be the best advice to a business owner or a startup or entrepreneur if they want to do a great visuals? And I would say that visuals today is the most important, besides the great headline, is the one that really will get to the business. How they should find professionals like you are, like a photographer or videographer, in order to what are the parameters to choose one, and what should they have in the list that, okay, this is what I need. Let's say that there's someone that hasn't worked with any photographer or videographer.
The number one thing that's really delicate to explain to people is that it's not the videographer or photographer's job to create the marketing for you. That's your job. You have your business, and you have to know your business before we can do something to help you. If you have a new company and you are trying to, I don't know, it's a water bottle, and you say, I want to market this water bottle. I don't know the story of this water bottle, how you created it, the blood, sweat, and tears you put into it. So you have to figure out how to explain that to me. And not only that, but how do you want to tell the story of this water bottle to you, the people that you're trying to sell it to? So what is it about this that sells it as unique? From there, again, that's where I can figure out the definitions. The biggest thing when you're approaching any kind of professional, number one, it's expensive. And it's expensive, just perfectly justified. They're professionals. They want to take their time. They're not trying to rip you off. At least for myself, I want to approach you and I want you to come back to me. I want you to recommend me to all of your friends. I'm not here to rip you off by charging an exorbitant amount of money. It's something that I have a business to run too. I have equipment. I have time. I've worked with clients where, we spend 3 weeks working on a project. It's not, I shoot one day and we're done. That's it. It's a week or two of talking about it, what we're going to do, buying props, getting set up, all the shots getting sketched and ready and put out there so that you can approve them. Then we do the actual shot, which, especially for product, I could take 3-4 hours doing one picture. That's it. One single image to do as a strong marketing campaign for you. So if we're doing a full campaign where we have 10 images, weeks worth of shooting. And then there's editing and retouching and getting all that stuff together and the usage and all that kind of stuff. it's an investment. It is not an expense. And it's something that when it's planned properly, you can have a very strong return on that investment because you've taken the time. We've worked together as a team. I'm not here to be somebody that you just ship something to. I take pictures and that's the end of it. It's a collaborative process where I'm here to help show your vision and what you want to achieve. And whether it's with people or whether it's with products, the model can make all of the difference in a shoot. So being able to hire the appropriate model for the appropriate project is very, very important. So we have to spend time casting, and I can put out a casting call, and then I, as a professional, can go through their portfolios and see what they're doing and how they're doing it and all that kind of stuff, and then present you with hey, here's 5 or 10 choices that I think are appropriate for what we're trying to do, versus just whoever wants to take the job for the cheapest amount of money. So all of this stuff is a very collaborative, in-depth process. And especially with small business owners with more limited funding, take your time. Content's very important, and we all know that putting out stuff on Instagram like every day or being consistent in how you're doing your social media marketing is also a huge thing, and that in and of itself is an investment. But you don't need to have perfectly clean pictures every single day for something like that. I know for myself, people respond so much better to behind the scenes images, which are the least professional thing ever. It's a silly, oh, look at this. My story today, you know, I took a picture of the lighting setup I'm using here. And, you know, people really respond to that. So don't try to overbog yourself with trying to have marketing images every single day. It's, again, it's more of the concept of how you want to market. Doing advertising, though, we are bombarded every single day with visuals. Unintentionally, you go on Facebook and there's marketing images every day. You go on Google, you go on Instagram, you're hit every single day with tons of marketing. The most important thing is to be unique and have your own vision. It's not about fitting in. I push clients away from doing traditional, like they see something on Instagram, they want to do exactly that. And I'm constantly telling them, guys, I think you're going to get a better ROI if you are doing something that is more uniquely you. And we take the time to actually work on that. It's a much harder process, but it's something that has a way better payoff because you can also utilize that to help speak your unique voice. And when we combine that, the benefit of me being a graphic designer as well is even if I'm not the one doing your design, I can communicate with that designer or how you want to set that up. So now you're getting another ROI where you're not having to redefine all this stuff. Oh, this person didn't understand how we want this set up. You know, we look in even a background like this, being able to see where you want to set the thing so that you can read your logo. You can see the other logos that are like, all of that is very important in how we're doing this. So having somebody that can communicate that and understand that is much more essential than the cost. There's plenty of people that you can hire to do the low cost things, and that's great. But when you're really looking at an investment, it's about somebody who understands a more overarching portion of that. So especially in this slower time, this is a time when I would recommend thinking, not acting. I have more time on my schedule right now, obviously. I'm happy to take your project on. I think you're going to get a better bang for your buck if either you contact me now and we start talking about it and we figure out what's good for you, or you take the time to think about your product, putting together your list, figuring out your 3-month, 6-month, 1 year, 5-year plan, and where you are now, where you want to be, and then how we can achieve that together. And take that time now. You have the time. If you haven't secured a small business loan or you haven't, you're still working on putting funding together, take this time to figure out how you want to allocate that money. Advertising is very expensive. There's no way around it. But if it's done right, it gives you a way better ROI. And I want you to come work with me. So the best thing we can do is plan and talk. And it's really an investment. It really is, especially depending on what you're trying to sell. If you have a product that's expensive to make and you don't make a huge amount of profit off of that and that margin's in there, your planning is crucial because you have very little wiggle room to do that. But if you're making a cheap product and you get a huge, you're getting that 60% upcharge or maybe more, or you're selling a luxury product where you have a very limited market, this is a moment to really define and rein in all of that stuff so that we can also make a very defined plan for you, both visually and in the marketing suite. when you're approaching a photographer, I honestly, the biggest thing I can say is don't come in with the question of how much do you charge. That's a constant battle because there's no such thing as just, I mean, I can give you a structured idea, but it really boils down to what are you trying to achieve? How many images are you trying to achieve? What is your time frame? What are you planning to do with them? There's a big difference of rates of if you want a couple things to put on Instagram versus if you're trying to make a billboard or put into a magazine or something like that. They're completely different. Print, getting an image ready for print is a completely different system than getting an image ready for Instagram. They're two completely different things. They're different color spaces. They're different bit rates. It's all different. Especially if I have to communicate with your people to get that print ready stuff ready. It really makes a difference. So money comes once you know what you want. If you come to me and you say, okay, I want 10 images, we have a month to work on this, and we're looking for this, like you hand me a bunch of sketches saying we want this, 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 and this, and this is the product that we're doing. No problem. Let me take a minute. I'll get back to you in a half an hour. I can have an estimate ready for you. No problem. But if you come in saying, here's the product, I need pictures. Okay. What kind of pictures? How many? Do you know what you want, or do I have to come up with the concept? I mean, all of that changes the rates. So it's much easier to define if you come in with a clear plan, and then I can get you a rate. So I would say that's the first thing is to, if you're well-defined, it's much easier to approach a photographer or a videographer versus if you're just coming in saying, what's your rate? If rate is the most important thing to you, I think you really need to have a defined rate in mind. Like you have to be saying, I'm willing to spend $500. What can you do for me? That's not a lot of money to work with. So if you come in and say, we have a $10,000 marketing budget for the next, for a 3-month campaign, now we can talk. We got something that we can work with. What can you do for me? Well, show me the product. Tell me about your story. What are you trying to communicate? And then now it's a lot easier to work with. So that's the first thing. The second thing when looking at a photographer is look at their, or a videographer, anybody, look at their work. We have an inherent trust of somebody when it's a referral. So if somebody has referred me, that person is going to trust me a lot more without looking at much of my stuff. But always look. My style is very, you can see it. It's defined. So if you're coming in looking for a certain style that's not my style, you're going to be disappointed. And so it's much better if you can come in and look at my work and you see what I do and who I work with. A perfect example is this image that I like to show of this model Nalsheen that I shot. There's a lot of color. There's saturation. It's darker. It's, there's contrast. So working with something like this versus those really clean, low contrast images that people want to post on Instagram because it's bright and it's fluffy, probably not going to work as well. So being able to see that before you talk to me, even if it's a referral, if you can come to me and say, we like this bright, fluffy image, I can say, okay, well, maybe I'm not the person that can do this. Or yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to help you do that. Let's talk about that further. Can you give me some references and we can talk about why you want this to be this way? We're artists, and we, just like any other artists, like you don't ask Pablo Picasso to paint a Jackson Pollock. They're different artists, and so are we. There are photographers out there that just pick up a camera and can take pictures. It's a different thing when what you do is very specific to you. And that's not an insult to those people. They serve their own function. But it's a different thing. So style is hugely important to what you're trying to achieve. Was that too long-winded? Did you get
No, it's fine, because I think the message which should go through is like, as we have boutique hotels and we have the all-inclusive hotels, the same goes with, I think, in whatever field we are, in a sense that if you want something which catches your eye and which is very unique, and if your brand and branding is like this, then I think you need to reach out to someone who can deliver that. No? And if you're just, like you said, fluffy light, then it doesn't really matter with whom you do the pictures. So
And
I'm glad that you talked in depth in that sense about it, because I think we tend to forget that, and we think that the image or the photography or the video is just one part of it, and it's maybe we don't give such importance that it really should have.
It's, with the advent of smartphones, people tend to think that a picture is a picture is a picture. And that's not true. I mean, the ability to click a shutter and take a photograph. I remember defining this in art school. I was in a photography class, and there's a difference between a picture and a photograph. A picture is clicking that button and having that image. So when you're going on a trip somewhere and you're like, oh, look at that pretty cloud, click, that's a picture. A photograph is actually something that is defined. There is a background to it. There's a reason that shot is being taken. If you're unaware of the exposure triangle, for example, the exposure triangle is based off of two things. A really quick photo 101 lesson. There's your ISO, which is the speed of the film back in the olden days. There's your aperture, and there's your shutter speed. There are three things that come together to make a photograph. And the aperture is the hole that allows the light to come in. The bigger it is, the less is in focus, but also the more light comes in. The shutter speed is how fast that shutter clicks. You can do a lot of manipulation of images by having those different things defined. A perfect example, and again, the difference of a photograph, but something that I took a while ago. Oh man, that's really bright. Glossy pages. This image here is something that was shot slow shutter speed. And all it is actually when I click the camera, I drop the camera because it wasn't where I wanted it to be. So I clicked the shutter and then dropped the camera to get her. And we got this awesome light trail thing. And it looks super weird and super fun, but people have an emotive reaction to a shot like that. And that's something because there was an intention, there was a reason. And there was a reason that even in that moment, maybe it felt like a mistake, but being able to see it afterwards is part of that creation of the photograph. So it's not just about that singular moment. But I also couldn't duplicate that image. Not exactly, because that was that single microsecond. And now it's me as the artist who is trying to figure out what the meaning to that and how we can define what that image is, versus when you just take a bunch of shots at the zoo because there's a cute kangaroo and now you have the picture of that kangaroo. And that is the biggest difference when we're talking about intentional marketing, intentional branding, and all this kind of stuff is I'm not here to click a button. That's not what that is. I call that a shutter monkey. Somebody who you can pick up a camera, just go click, 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 and like put it on auto and just click, 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 and you get a picture. We're here to clearly define something with intention and purpose, because that's what you're investing in, is that intention and that purpose. Just as you took all that time to build your brand, whatever it might be, whether it's a hotel and you spent all this money on wallpaper that's a certain color, or a product, and you did all this R&D and put this thing together to achieve what your product does. We don't want to ruin that. We want to enhance that. We want to make it better. We want to communicate that passion and that time to your potential customers. And there's absolutely a huge difference. A great reference I have is if you look at the marketing that Rolex does, that's a luxury product. That is not a product that is, you just go buy one in the store. It's a luxury product. And if you look at the beauty and the intricacy of those photographs, it communicates the passion that they have and a worth that it is. So especially if you want to put out there, that worth is going to be lifted by the quality of your images. Everything has its moment. Everything has its piece. I shot some stuff for this company called Historically Modern Designs, and they do these chai tea mugs made out of like terracotta. And they have three different styles. One is a glossy, one has a matte, and then one has a handle. And each one of those things has a different definition that I have to pull out of it. If you just take a picture, you're going to get this awful glossy shine off of it because it's reflective. taking a picture is totally different than taking a photograph of that, because now I'm defining that curve to get the gleam of that shine so that it really pushes how beautifully reflective this thing is. Not just that there's a horrible shine that attracts your eye to it, you know? So yeah, all of that's important. And I think people forget that because they're bombarded with images every day. But when one catches you, you don't even recognize that it catches you. You stay on it for that second longer, and that second makes all the difference, you know? Good photography, good graphic design, any kind of good art, you don't necessarily recognize, but you'll recognize the bad stuff.
Yeah, the hook and the planting the seeds and etc. etc. So yeah, I totally agree, and it's so nice to see that you have so much passion into it. So and you give the worth for your work, and you're very proud of what you do. So this is amazing. Before I ask you your 3 recommendations how to dominate the decade, please, everybody who are on the Zoom, and Patricia and Inga, which are very active, commenting everything that we share here. Also, if you have direct questions to Justin, please share with us so I can ask them. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We have a lot of people from Estonia, by the way.
Yay!
So we have people from UK, we have people from Kuala Lumpur, we have people from Mexico, obviously, United States, Miami. Thank you for joining us. So thank you for hosting. Very interesting and creative interview, Justin. Okay, so until they write their questions, what are the 3 recommendations that you could give to dominate the decade?
Absolutely. The first one is one that I'm probably terribly good at. I say it's a good and bad thing. Slow down. This isn't a race. And especially building a business, you know, I know for me in the creative field, there's a tendency to try and compare myself to everybody else. You're your own individual. You are creating something that is uniquely you, whether it is a business tutoring people or doing charity work or whatever. There is a very specific thing that is uniquely you. And you know, watching yesterday when he's saying the innovation is the innovator is the person that has the idea but then follows through with it, and I think that that's absolutely true. This isn't a race. Commit, love what you're doing, and absolutely stick with it. Giving up is not an option ever, no matter what you're doing in life. And we are here to support each other, and I think that that's the biggest thing, is finding that ability where we can all uplift each other a little bit, but it's just these little reminders of don't give up, stick with it. The second thing I would say is, especially in moments like this, where we are kind of forced into a situation, learn how to adapt, learn how to make the best of it. And, you know, we all have tough days. We all have moments where we're like, I need to get out of here, whatever the case may be, but adapt to it. Adapt to the scenario. It's going to help you long-term too. It's not just in these moments, but, you know, in any kind of personal or business scenario, being able to roll with those punches rather than continually fighting against them and trying to maintain a status quo is going to help you a lot. It's huge. It really is. Life's always changing. That's the only thing that's inevitable, is change. And we have to be able to roll with it. Is what it is. And let's see, the third thing. Look for the unique things in life. Life is really amazing. I mean, this isn't coming from even these moments of trying to say, oh, life is unique and amazing. Life is unique and amazing. I think about the weird things that got me to everywhere that I am, and the people that I ran into across the way during that time, and how much there is to learn about the world. I don't think we all have to learn the same thing. but that's what makes it unique and adaptive, is all of that, because there is so much to learn and so much to appreciate, not even on a spiritual or religious level, just in a daily life, being able to look at like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is incredible. And whether that opens your mind to something creative, or that opens your mind to something in your business, or that opens your mind to something in a personal way, I think that being able to appreciate unique moments is really, really, really special. And I hope that it will open up your mind, especially as the decade goes on. We're going to get older. Our brains are going to change. Our thoughts are going to change. Our beliefs, our opinions, they're all going to change. I feel like a lot of people are spending time right now fighting about stuff that it's going to change. It's going to be way easier to come in with an open mind, listen to what the person next to you has to say. Even if you don't agree with it, that's okay. You don't have to agree with it. Even after you've heard what they have to say, you don't have to agree with it. But listening to what they have to say about it is a very important thing, because maybe there's something that they say that will open your mind to something else. And whether that grows you right now or 10 years from now, you realize that that set of words was actually correct, or whatever. I think it's important. So they're all theoretical ways to dominate the decade. We're all different. So, the theory is the only thing that really, that we can go by. I can't tell you a direct way to, like, there's no way for me to say, here's how you become a photographer, or here's how you're successful in your field. The way you're going to do something is different than the way I'm going to do something. Just keep an open mind.
And we have 2 questions. So, who is the most challenging or interesting client that you have had?
Okay. Those are 2 different things. Most challenging clients I've had, I probably haven't ended up working with. It's always a discussion, but I don't know that we've ended up doing much of anything, which is people that come in with expectations that I can't match. It's just not a good fit. It's somebody that it would be lovely to work with them. I want to work with everybody, no matter what they're doing. But you don't always gel with people. I don't have a specific example of that, solely because I'm not somebody to call people out on it. But I would say that's the most challenging thing, is when you don't quite gel with somebody and they're trying to either force the work relationship to happen, or, you're kind of like, oh, I want to pick this up and do this, and it just doesn't quite match up. The most interesting, one of my favorites, gosh, I have so many examples of her. I like this one. This is the most epic, I think. One of my favorite models to work with is a model by the name of Zoe Zapoian, and she is an amputee. She lost her leg about 2.5 years ago now. And this is one of my favorite pieces that we did, which is this breakthrough image. And I love it because she is somebody who exemplifies strength, exemplifies this beauty and this uniqueness and this quality of just not giving up. It's another person. I mean, something like losing your leg, I can only imagine that would, destroy some people. And she used it to really bring herself forward and learn who she is. And I think that that's really special. And I love people like that in general, people who aren't just accepting that this is the way that they are, and they want to move forward, and they want to grow, and they want to build. They're my favorite people. Zoe's one of my favorites because she's extremely easy to work with. She is willing. That this image is not something that we planned. It was something that I had an idea of, and I was like, I think I want to try it. And she was like, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't we? Like, it's like, yes, that's exactly it. I love people that are open-minded to it. Even working with people that aren't models or actors or something like that, they are just intrigued by either my work, or they're intrigued by an idea of something and they want to try it. And they come in and they're just like, you know what you're doing. Why? Let's go. And they just are willing to trust it. I've worked with Zoe in many capacities. We shot, like this piece. Gosh, this glare is awful. We shot this piece. This is about 8 months after she lost her leg. But she trusted me as a photographer and a creative, and we were able to achieve a beautiful, dynamic, striking image off of something that maybe she wasn't perfectly comfortable with, but she trusted me. And that makes a huge difference when you have that open mind. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Who is your favorite photographer you admire their work?
That is an enormous list. That is really, I get that question a lot. One of my all-time favorites, I think she'll eternally be one of my all-time favorites, is she's actually a dear friend of mine. Her name is Giselle Lubson, and she is an underwater photographer. She is one of my favorites because she is just brilliant at what she does. Her work is just fantastic, and it's something that like I love that we don't actually compete in the same space. Like, we do two completely different things, so it's not that she's an inspiration to me on a creative level where like I look at her work and say I want to do that. I love what she does because she is so well defined in who she is. She has this amazing this history that has made her this artist, and I love seeing what she does. She understands the business, she understands the personal, she loves working with unique people and really making people better. She is done a lot of work with women's groups and things like that. There was a domestic violence group that she worked with, and I love that she did a bunch of giving back as well. I was very lucky because I met her when I shot her pregnancy, her maternity image. Gosh, can't this is her right here. And that's how I originally met her. And so I got to work with her on a very personal level. Whoa, I'm all ghosted here. I got to work with her on a very personal level before. Sorry.
Something
Nope.
With your lights.
Yeah, we're getting too bright here. We're losing the background. We reversed.
You like the contrast, don't you?
My lights are failing us. I look creepy now. This is even kind of more fun though. I kind of like it. I worked with her on a very personal level before before getting to know her work, and then seeing her work and how it's built and how it's worked. I've worked with her on set. That made a huge difference too. I can't get past this. Is the creepiest thing ever. I like it though. I'm now the background. Look at this, you guys. Look. Oh, it's this side. There's the logo. We got to keep that in the shot.
I have to admit that I think you planned it.
I'm a lighting professional right here. That's the. I love this. This is so creepy. I need a screenshot of that. Wait. Yeah, there. It's even better. Yes, I am the warlock of the West. All right. Yes, she's one of my favorites. And product-wise, I look at people like Barry Mackaroo. I can't say his last name. Barry Mackaroo and Carl Taylor, because I'm obsessed with the OCD, anal retentive quality of their imagery. Because that's what I love when I'm in studio working on product shots. I love being able to stop laughing at me. I love being able to really define the individuality of a project. So there's those two questions. We've gotten completely off topic now.
Well, I haven't finished any of my interviews crying, but I'm crying out of laugh.
Go unlocked.
So it reminds me of Star Wars. So
yes,
it's a very innovative way to do. So I have one more question here. Who is the celebrity that you have liked and you have had photo shoot with?
There's two. I'm gonna see if I can turn this off. Sorry, this is this is too much now. Yeah, okay. We're not achieving. Let's go none. There we go. All right. There are two that I've really enjoyed working with so far. The list is continuous because I can't wait for more. But I got to shoot. They're a Mexican band, legendary Mexican band, been around forever, called Los Tigres del Norte. And I was very fortunate to be able to do a shot with them that I'm absolutely in love with. This awesome spread that I got to put together with these just legends that have been around forever. And I really, really, really love that shot. You can see it better on my website and my Instagram than the glossiness, but they were fantastic. And then more recently, we haven't released too much, but she's actually the daughter of guitarist Joe Walsh, who plays with the Eagles and groups like that. But her name's Lucy Walsh. And we have had a blast creating another one who's very open and just kind of let me run with ideas, which was super fun. But she's toured with Maroon 5 and Ashley Simpson and a bunch of things as a musician. She's also an actress, and she's been in Curb Your Enthusiasm and Criminal Minds and a bunch of shows like that. So she was a lot of fun so far. I'm working on booking a few other people currently, but obviously that's kind of on hold. So we'll see what the next setup brings, which is exciting.
So how can people contact you?
There are many ways. The best way by far is probably through my website, which is jpiccariPhoto.com. And just fill the screen with this information for a moment here. My Instagram is @jpiccari, and you can reach me at jpiccari@gmail.com as well. But make sure you check out my portfolio because I told you to. So you have to see that before you hire a photographer. But this is probably the best way to get in touch. And of course, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, even in terms of finding how to find somebody. I am not the only photographer out there. I am not the perfect one for every project. I want to make sure you get the best ROI for your company. So even if it's not me, I want to make sure you get the best bang for your buck. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, everybody who joined us.
Thank you, everyone.
Ladies had a lot of fun here. Inga and Patricia and some more chewing. So there's a lot of comments there. So again, I think there were many good nuggets, golden nuggets today. Also, advice that anyone from us can actually apply. And just 3 things which I actually wrote down is to remember not to give up. And I think that applies in every moment, whether it's with the pandemic or non-pandemic. So yes, don't give up. Don't give up on your dream. Don't give up on, or especially considering the circumstances. So that all shall pass, as they say, no? And learn to adapt. I think that's the most critical thing to do, especially today, if we are talking about the circumstances, and look for the uniqueness. I think that's something which we maybe subconsciously do, but I think there's a big difference when we start to do it consciously, and that can really change our lives.
I think people tend to get a little scared of uniqueness sometimes because it's different. Not consciously. I think you shy away from it because it's a little different. So when you're seeking it out, your mind's more open to it. And I think that makes all the difference. Absolutely.
Exactly. So as always, if you learned today something or heard something, so please apply it within 48 hours. Speed of implementation. Nothing works if you don't do the work or take the next action. Also, you can be the hero in someone's life. So if you heard something that can change someone's life, or you think that that someone needs to hear that the uniqueness is this, or never give up, or whatever you picked up from this and think that this can help someone, please share this video, because by doing that, you will become the hero of not only your life, but also the life that you will touch and change. We are here to serve you. So reach out to Justin, reach out to me if you have any ideas or that you want to discuss, if you have comments, questions. We are here to serve you, and the only way to make it better is if you give us feedback. I will see you tomorrow at the same time. Tomorrow we have another artist. She's a musician. She's from Albania, and I'm really looking forward to meet her. So 11 a.m. Los Cabos time, we will be here waiting for you. And Justin, if you would like to just wrap up the session.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. We have a bunch of Estonians still watching. Yeah. I forgot one more celebrity. Well, maybe hopefully they'll recognize her. Marilyn now. Does fashion in Estonia. She's in Tallinn. Yeah. So I forgot that. Yeah, I worked with her too. That's fun. Yeah, thank you everybody for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in. I love sharing my art, but I really love what people think about art in general, not just mine, but in art in general. And you make what we do more fun because it expands our minds. So thank you all for watching and being part of this. Ragnar, thank you so much for hosting this. You're busting your butt doing all this work, and I really appreciate it. I hope everybody else does as well. So it means a lot.
Thank you. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Keep on doing it. Keep on sharing it. And we will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.